Welcome back to the channel. This interesting little curio is the Datafrog S80 game controller. And would you look at that? Comes in a snazzy little green box, which is not dissimilar to the original, Datafrog SF2000 box. It's quite plain. It doesn't go too over the top. It's nothing too ostentatious. There's when you open it up, there's clearly no packaging inside. It's just all jammed in the one box. But it's just a little bit bigger than the controller itself, so everything seems to fit in there. Hopefully it's all in one piece. As you can see, we have a little user guide here, and we also have a USB-C cable, which is actually an okay cable. I'm quite surprised. This is a decent thickness of cable, so hopefully it's got decent cores inside it. And then finally we've got the controller itself. Let's get it out of the bag. And as you can see, it's just a typical Xbox type controller, kind of Xbox shaped layout and what have you. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller in more ways than one. So on the front, we've got two analog sticks. They're full size. They seem to work pretty well. In game testing, I've not had any issues with them. The D-pad is a little bit mushy, and it's a little bit, it feels like it's a bit loose fitting in the actual shell, but it actually works pretty well. Just a bit soft. The ABXY buttons are very nice, that has to be said. They work really well. And then there's this plethora of other buttons on the front. There's a home button, there's a record button, a turbo button, and a plus and minus button, which are basically start and select. And you've also got some little LEDs on the front. Now those are for how you've connected it, so we'll come back to them later. Now round back we've got an M1 and an M2 button, which are horrendous, like clicky mouse buttons, but they can be reprogrammed to any of the face buttons or a combination. So I've not actually tested that yet. We may do that at some point. Round the back, we've got three more buttons. The middle button seems to just, when you push that, seems a little fan icon on it. You push that, just turns the controller off. On one side, we've got an intensity setting for the vibration motors, which doesn't do anything until you've paired the device. And the other one turns on the ambient glow of the controller. So if you turn on the controller, you can, pressing a combination of buttons, change or turn off the ring lights on the controls. And I actually should say the ring lights are really pretty nice. Just on the, I've just left them on the little rainbow unicorn one, and they just slowly go through the colour phase. So you can change them to different colours. And you can also make them brighter or dimmer, but I'll just leave them at the stock setting. Now one thing I didn't like about this controller is it's the Nintendo Switch type layout. So the AB's round the wrong way and the X and Y's round the wrong way. Now I thought I would just have to tweak that in software, and I actually considered cracking the case open and just swapping the buttons just so that it looked the way I wanted it to look. But actually, I'm not going to do any of those things, because if you push the record button plus the left thumbstick, or press the record button and the right thumbstick, you can rotate the buttons logically in memory, so to speak, or you can switch them. So the A and the B switch and the X and the Y switch. So you can basically turn it into a proper Xbox style controller. So that was actually quite a neat little feature. Now on the top edge we've got two bumper buttons. They feel actually really good all the way along the travel. And then we've got the last piece, which is the bit that lets the whole device down. What would Datafrog be without letting us down some way? We've got the analog triggers, which are not analog triggers, they're just digital triggers, they're just on off. So yeah, it's not great, but I bought this for doing emulated games mostly, and I'm going to do some emulated gaming on my Chewy little Ultrabook here. So it's a low spec laptop and it'll cope with up to PSP, so to be honest, those buttons are not even going to get used. I'll just be using the bumper buttons. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing certain games that just need an on-off trigger, then that's fine. If you want things that need a bit of precision, like a racing game, then obviously those triggers are absolutely of no use. Now you can still do racing games as long as you don't mind full throttle or full brakes. So now up next, I'm going to show you some footage of me playing split second PSP emulation here. We'll let this just play through for a few moments, just so you can see how well it actually plays and how well the controller copes. In this next bit of video, I'll show you Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max again on the PSP emulation here. So I'm not very good at this game, but as you can see, I'm able to do some Hadoukens and other moves. No idea what I'm doing, but the controls seem to work pretty well. Up next, we're trying the controller with Android. So here's a little sneak peek of a tablet I'm going to be reviewing shortly. And we're playing Horizon Chase. It runs pretty well on here as well. Initially, I had to set my controls up, but other than that, all seems to be working fine. And to close off the footage of me game testing, this is Stardew Valley again on Android. Just testing this through with the controller and it all seems to work okay. Now as cheap controllers go, it's okay. It's relatively well put together. The lack of analog triggers is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. But if you're looking for a basic cheap, and by cheap I mean less than £10, so under $10 as well I would say. If you can get it for that price, then it's an okay controller. You know, it's not really worth a lot of money, which means you can just launch it in a bag if it gets a little bit damaged over time. That won't be such a big issue. But it's pretty sturdily made. Everything seems to work. Nothing's broke in the slightly over a week that I've been testing this. And it works fine in emulators. It works quite well between Android devices, Windows devices. I haven't actually tried it on anything other than that, but it's worked pretty well. I haven't yet mapped the M1 and M2 keys in the back. I've not really felt the need to do that. So, yeah, if this video has been helpful to you, please like, share and subscribe. And obviously, if you've watched this far into the video, thanks very much for watching this far. Hopefully this controller's, or this video has given you some insight into this controller, which I've not seen many people reviewing online. It just popped up, as I said, on Aliexpress. I've seen the price creeping up, much like many products when you see from Datafrog. As soon as a review gets out there, prices start to creep up, as soon as a few sales have been made. It's a bit of a strange one, but if you see this popping up cheaply enough, definitely worth a purchase. As you can see in the gameplay footage I've been showing you here, it's pretty responsive. Now it's a bit clicky. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.